Let's move on. It used to be that the good-natured hazing of a rookie team member was a time-honored tradition in American sports. A bit silly, perhaps, but relatively harmless. Well, in recent years, sports hazings have changed, for the worse. Some have unfortunately degenerated into what can only be characterized legally as assaults. Mary Carrillo has the story of one high school football player's hazing and its troubling aftermath.
Last fall, Pentucket Regional High School established itself as a football powerhouse, playing in its third consecutive Super Bowl for the Massachusetts State Championship. But these days, Pentucket's claim to fame is no longer its dominance over other teams. They're notorious for attacking their own. 16-year-old Matthew Weymouth witnessed the hazing of a teammate at preseason training camp last summer.
We were all in bed and it was like pitch black. You couldn't see anything.
Was he thrashing and could you hear him screaming and stuff?
He was trying to like get away from it.
Why didn't you help him?
Because then they would do it to me.
And the next day, they did. Matthew's parents, Scott and Lorraine Weymouth, recall what their son told them.
I do. It was during one of their breaks, and they were out on the porch of the bunk they were staying at playing pool. And one of the upperclassmen called down to him. So Matthew walked upstairs, and this kid grabbed him from behind, dragged him to another area, and there were about 15 to 20 kids standing there. A couple kids held him down while one kid teabagged him. And teabagging is when they hold them down and they, rub their exposed genitals on their faces.
Rubbing exposed genitals on underclassmen's faces and other forms of sexual degradation are nothing new at Pentucket High. Just look at this website set up by former football players, which hails camp as a place where sexually deprived teenagers can take out some frustration on younger, weaker kids, and dismisses current initiations as nothing in comparison to the past. In his first year on the team, Matthew had been so fearful of these rituals that he initially refused head coach Steve Hayden's offers to play football.
I told him that I heard stuff about some of the stuff that goes on, and he said that everything would be fine, nothing bad would happen.
But something bad did happen, and not just to Matthew. As many as 6 other underclassmen were hazed, despite Coach Hayden's no hazing warning before camp. Once the school year began, news of the incident spread, and administrators conducted an investigation. Based on the school's code of discipline, the perpetrators were suspended from school for 1 to 5 days, and also missed 1 to 2 games.
And the kids who did this to Matthew were good football players.
Mm-hmm. One of them was quarterback, one of them was a starting running back who scored lots of touchdowns. But these kids were on their way to the Super Bowl, and they were not going to let anybody get in their way.
They weren't thrown off the team?
No. So we went down there and met face-to-face with the principal, Arlene Towns, and told her that it just wasn't acceptable. What we wanted was to have the perpetrators who did this taken and removed from the football team for the rest of the year.
Despite the Weymouth's demands, the school administrators opted for the perpetrators to undergo mandatory counseling instead. But there was more to Matthew's story than initially reported. 2 months after the school conducted its investigation and handed out suspensions, a new and more serious allegation came to light.
I had parents come to me every once in a while and talk about something happening with a banana. And one time I did say, Matthew, did anything happen to anybody with a banana up there? And he was like, nope.
But after another parent suggested Matthew might have been the victim, Lorraine asked again.
And I said, I'm going to ask you something, Matthew, and I really want you to tell me the truth. I said, did anything happen to you up at camp with the banana? And he went, nope, nope. And I said, Matthew, I think you're lying to me, because I think something happened to you. And all of a sudden he just turned around and looked at me and started screaming at me. He's like, all right, it happened, it happened. Then he just put his body on the floor, put his head in the rug, and he just started yelling, and I just started crying. Not only did this kid get teabagged, then they rolled him over, pulled his pants down, and then attempted to insert a banana in his rectum.
You didn't actually get penetrated by the banana, right?
No, they tried, but it just didn't work.
Is the banana part so much worse for you than the teabagging part?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because it didn't happen to anybody else.
Everyone started saying stuff to him in school, and just everyone started not talking to him and telling him that he's doing the wrong thing, calling him a liar.
Trevor Fahey, Casey Taylor, and Tyler Mohan are students at Pentucket High. Trevor attended football camp with Matthew, his best friend.
Did anyone ever threaten Matt at the school?
I'm not sure if they ever went up to Matt and said, hey, look, I'm going to do this to you if you don't keep quiet, but I definitely know they've come up to us and said, oh, if I ever see him again, he's going to get it. He'd walk down the hall and kids would say things under their breath or even shouting it out.
And the taunting is not limited to the confines of Pentucket High.
You wouldn't go a whole sport game without hearing it from like the crowd or the other teammates or even adults. At the Thanksgiving Day game, they had signs of bananas and stuff. And then there was a hockey game. It's like right in the middle of the game, bananas were thrown on the ice.
I get mad at people a lot. My trust in people has gone down a lot.
Your grades went down too?
Yeah. I didn't do anything at school. Didn't go to classes, and when I did, I just sat there and did nothing, so.
You just couldn't concentrate anymore?
No.
He used to be the social butterfly, you know. Now he's by himself, almost like a loner. But he's definitely turned into a little bit more of an introvert from it, which is sad.
He also began to behave recklessly, driving his dad's car without a license and accidentally crashing it into a wall.
That was the hardest thing for us to walk in that emergency room. His face all bloody, and he had been crying. And he said, I need help, I just need help. And that killed us. I spent 15 years working my butt off, keeping my kids safe. I sent him away with you for 3 nights, and look at what I get back. This is what I get back. I get back a totally different kid. 3 nights. I worked so hard for 15 years, and that's what I got back, a different kid. That's what kills me with this whole thing. I don't have the kid I used to have. I have somebody totally different. That hurts.
Once Matthew confirmed the banana incident, the Weymouths called the police. They then learned that the police had already contacted Pentucket High for an investigation, but the school refused assistance, choosing to handle the matter in-house.
The minute you hear that somebody's genitals touched another person's face, it's out of house.
Hank Newer has been tracking hazing cases since the 70s and is the author of 3 books on the topic.
It's a sexual assault. Educators make good educators. They're lousy cops. You can't handle it internally if a crime has been committed.
According to Newer, schools like Pentucket need to recognize that many current initiations cross the line between rite of passage and criminal behavior.
You're thinking back to hazing when you were in the 50s and 40s.
Rolling peanuts with your nose?
Yeah, and it's sort of a myth that we need to break this person away from his or her parents to get him or her into the team by degrading them, by humiliating them, by sexually abusing them.
Why has hazing escalated sexually?
I just seem to think it escalated as society changed, and somehow they think that teabagging or putting genitals into somebody's face, that's even funny.
In response to the recent incidents, the school district has revised its anti-hazing policy.
But this is sort of like a code that says, if you do this, you can expect this.
The Pentucket administrative staff refused to speak to Real Sports, but Principal Arlene Towns issued this statement, claiming that they had no knowledge of any hazing incidents prior to their investigation, and that the banana allegation was inconsistent with statements made by the students whom we interviewed.
Up to that time, Matthew had denied anything about a banana, not only to you, but to Principal Towns, and also to Coach Hayden. Why did he deny it for so long?
He's so humiliated by that. But Arlene Towns always says, well, you know, he was asked this question, he denied it. Well, you tell me, Arlene, how many 15-year-old boys are going to look at you in their office and say, guess what? He wouldn't tell his mother or father. What makes her think he's going to tell her?
Say the banana incident had never occurred. Say this is all about the teabagging. Was that enough to kick kids off the team? To bring in the police?
Absolutely. We went up to the school before we ever knew about the banana. You don't forcibly hold kids down and put your testicles on their face and have that not be a sexual assault. How is that not a sexual assault?
The Weymouths pulled Matthew out of Pentucket High and are in the process of suing the school for $3 million.
I just don't want it to happen to anybody else. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
The state police in New Hampshire, where the camp is located, are considering filing criminal charges in the case. And if you wonder whether the Pentucket community is outraged over the way the situation was handled, they are, but not in the way you might expect.
I think a lot of the parents of football players or some athletes up there, they're angry at us.
Why are they angry at you?
We're rocking their world, their security, you know, but I don't care. I'll rock it for my son.
In a letter to the editor in the local paper, some members of the community who stand together behind our families, our coaches, and our school criticized the Weymouth's $3 million lawsuit and the barrage of unfair publicity directed at Pentucket since the family went to the media. Of the 114 people who signed the letter, none of the people we contacted would speak to Real Sports on camera.
Have you three lost a lot of faith in the adults of this town?
Yeah, I lost a lot of respect.
It's surprising because most of them took like the bad side of it and like are blaming the Weymouths for what they're doing.
Right.
And some of these parents have kids on the team, on the football team, that got hazed.
You guys know the other kids who got hazed?
Yeah, it's pretty much they're reflecting their parents. Like their parents are like, oh, it's not a big deal, just let it go behind you, boys will be boys. Obviously they're gonna think that and tell other people that, and it just like keeps going on and on.
You're still living with it?
Mm-hmm. Every day. I have my good days and I have my bad.
Do you miss who you used to be? You think that'll come back?
Hopefully.
Mary, those of the boys will be boys mentality, those who in pretty gutless fashion signed the letter to the editor, why were they so unwilling to speak with you?
It was amazing, really. I mean, they signed this big old letter, and we turned out to be over 114 when we try to get them to speak. They closed ranks. The school's lawyers said that they couldn't talk, so we never got to talk to Principal Towns or the coach or any of that. A lot of the people on that list, it seems, had their own personal lawyers who were telling them not to speak about it. I mean, they really, you know, it seemed to me that they were kind of skittering around in the dark, and that you turn the light on, which in this case would be a camera light, and they all...
But now the legal system is going to compel some of them to speak, yeah?
It may come to a grand jury investigation, in which case the boys who witnessed the event will be subpoenaed, so they will talk. I mean, it sounds like a serious investigation. It's been going on for 7 months.
Wow.
And there are some people, some of the parents in the community are saying, well, doesn't that show that nothing more happened? I don't know. If it goes 7 months, I'm thinking they have found
There's something there. As I watched the report, it reminded me so much of the movie A Few Good Men. And this town can't handle the truth. How high up does responsibility go?
There are a lot of people to point at. I tend to think it's the school itself that really fell down on the job. You know, there are policies, there are anti-hazing policies in place at the state level, you know. Some states like Utah and Georgia have they have the strictest anti-hazing laws. But the school basically said, we'll handle it in-house. We don't need anybody's help. And it seems to me they just want it to go away. And I don't think that gets to happen.
It's not going to.
Nope.
All right, Mary, thanks very much. Let's move on. It used to be that the good-natured hazing of a rookie team member was a time-honored tradition in American